Okay, let's take a closer look at the Midland walkie-talkie that you'll be getting as part of your backpack. It's going to come packaged like this, so let's see what's inside. We have the unit itself. You'll notice that the back is off and the batteries are not in the unit. Here is the back. Here is a belt clip should you choose to use it. Some do, some don't. Here is a quick reference card that will be part of the package here and could come in handy later. And here are the batteries. 3 AAA batteries, and you'll notice that they're bundled together and they are outside of the unit. Batteries have a bad habit of misbehaving in 2 ways. They can leak, in which case the unit gets damaged, or it can cause, the batteries themselves can be subject to a slow, steady drain, a tiny drain over time, depending on the device. So it's better to keep the batteries out of the device just in case there's a slow drain and you pick it up a year later, and even though the batteries haven't leaked, the batteries are run down by the drain. And we're guarding against the potential damage due to leakage. So what you need to do is obviously get started with the radio by loading the batteries. So we normally do this in sort of a workshop format in the academy, but we're just going to do this right here. So the polarity is marked. It's very hard to read, but if you turn it sideways and get it nice and close, you might be able to see which side's supposed to be positive and negative. But it's on the outside, the batteries go up, positive on the top, and in the middle position, the positive pole is at the bottom. And that's it. And the radio will function just like this, with or without the back on it, okay? So if you want to put the back on it, you line it up in position and you slide it up and it clicks. So that's nice and easy. I will tell you that getting the back off can be kind of tricky. If you find yourself pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling, quite often pressing near the top and then pulling is the key, because these little prongs up here are what hold it in place to the main unit. So that click are these 2 prongs. If you push hard down and then slide, you'll be able to take the back off. Again, if you choose to use the the belt clip, you're gonna install that top to bottom here. Bottom to top, whoops. We're going to go in these slots, and it's going to go up and it's going to click. Very positive click, okay? Now I'll mention now that one of the toughest issues about this radio is removing the belt clip so that it's easier to change the batteries. And removing the belt clip is a little bit of a trick. This tab right here needs to be pulled up, and then the belt clip will slide down. Now this is kind of hard to do. You have to get under here, pull up, and then slide down. If that feels awkward, get some kind of a tool to help you, even maybe a coffee stirrer or something, just to hold that tab up. That tab is what locks this in place. You have to lift this tab up. Now let's look at the operation of the radio itself. I'm going to point out this button right here, and there is a indication, a power indication, a circle with a hash mark at the top, and below it is the word mode. This button serves 2 purposes. This button over here says scan, and above it is a padlock. Scan is something that we're not going to be using in the CERT program, at least we don't expect to. Scan would mean go through all the possible channels in here and stop on any that have transmissions. That's not what we're doing. We're going to be set on one channel, specifically channel 8, and then we're not going to do any scanning. Likewise, we're probably not going to lock the unit. In other words, some people lock the unit with the padlock so that they won't make errant button pushes. But I think with a little bit of instruction here and the reminder card over here, you're not going to be in bad shape here. So now we're loaded with batteries. I will mention, let's look at the other two. There's an up arrow and a down arrow. These buttons will have multiple functions as well. At one point, they'll help adjust the volume up or down, and at another point, they will help us select which channel up or down, okay? So let's get started. We're going to press and hold this mode button. It's the power button mode button. 2, 3, 4. So that was about a 4-second press, okay? Now on the screen you see the number 1, that's channel number 1, we're going to change that. And over here you see a series of bars. It almost looks like your cell phone. What kind of cellular, how many bars do you have? You might think that's battery, it is not, it's the volume level. Watch what happens when I press the top button. Those buttons get bigger as they move up. When it gets to the top, it beeps to remind you that's as loud as this is going to go. And frankly, you probably need to start with it in the loudest position. If we're at a shelter and there's a lot of commotion going on and a lot of other background noise, you need this turned up all the way so you don't miss a call. Okay, now that we've adjusted the volume, let's go ahead and change the channel to channel 8. We're going to short press this button here, the mode power button. And we're going to start immediately pressing the up arrow until I get to the number 8. And I'm just going to wait until it locks in on 8. I'm not going to continue to press. I'm not going to come back and press here. Coming back to press here brings us to other menu items which are not necessary for our purposes. So once you get it to number 8, just hands away from the unit and it will settle on 8 now forevermore. Let's go ahead and power off the unit just to make sure that it comes back with channel 8. I'm going to press and hold to power it off. 1, 2, 3. 3 seconds and it powered off. Let's press and hold it again to power on. 1, 2, 3. And it does come back on channel 8. Now you might notice that there's not a lot of other information going on here. For example, there is no battery indicator in the display. All you have are these bars on the left side for volume and the channel number on the right. In my opinion, this is an advantage. All you're seeing are the most important points that you need to operate. So from here on, you're pretty much set to go.